on the exam if you do not do your homework and if you do not participate. Okay, and I just think that's too much pressure to put on yourself. Okay, in the last 6 years, I've had two people or two persons that would have gotten 100% overall on the final exam. Okay, so please, I'm not saying it's not achievable, but please just don't put that type of pressure. You could sit comfortably in the exam with your 30%, and the persons that would have done intro can attest that to those points really make a difference. Okay, so please, and also do not wait until the last homework to find out that you don't understand what's going on in the class. My last intermediate class, I had 4 persons who waited to the last question and they got 40 and 50% because they were confused on what the question was asking and they did not get it right. Okay, and then they dared to say, Miss Bully, please give me another chance. No, you had 10 weeks. Okay, so please, I encourage all of you to do the first question, which will be the mandatory question on the exam. So you'll have that out the way. If you don't do it, then there's question 2, 3, and 4. If you do questions 2 or 3, Ms. Bullitt gives you the opportunity, if you get 40 or 50%, to redo it, but not question 4. I gotta say it again, not question 4. Okay, there's no opportunity to redo question 4. If you wait, be sure that you know what it's asking and that you can answer it properly. Primarily, most persons get 100% on their homework. So that sits you in the exam already with 20%. I would get that out the way up front to make sure that you speak Spanish, Miss Bullitt speaks Spanish. Not you speak Spanish and Miss Bullitt speak French. Okay, because a lot of times we do not comprehend. Okay, so please do your best. Okay, so I have my list out now because Miss Bullitt always in trouble for these participation points. So I have to make sure I keep a better record. So let's see who would have read the newspaper. Is there anybody? Please just raise your hand. It's a big class. Yes, go ahead.
I won't go first because I the rut and okay. I can't talk long.
Okay, that's fine. So, go ahead. Go first.
First, I went to the Rotary Club of Nassau Sunrise 7 a.m. meeting this morning.
Okay.
And I don't know if Rotary is the one for me because it seems it's a little stale. But however, they talk about their book donation that they're collecting books to donate to Aubrey Sale Primary School. I guess that's the school that they do charity work for. So they talked about that. And then they had a man from St. Lucia speak. His name was David Chase. And this is membership month at Rotary. So he was speaking on how they could get more members and retain members because he noticed that a lot of the clubs are losing members. So his speech was on how to retain members and how they can possibly gain more members. And he told them that 7 a.m. will not work for everybody. So they may need to change their times a bit to accommodate more persons. And that was the Rotary today.
Okay, so what was the topic on? Just the
membership. Today was the last day for membership month in Rotary. So all the clubs were doing stuff getting more members.
So there were no speakers. That was
the only speaker, Mr. Chase, and his speech was on how they can get more members and retain their members that they do have already.
Okay, and what did he say? How do you do it?
Well, he said one thing he suggested to them was probably changing their times or having a sub branch that meets at a different time because he says 7 a.m. may not be good for everybody. And he said going out there and getting the word out about what Rotary is about may get them to have some more members. But there was one person from the organization that brought in 10 people in the last 6 months. So they commended her for her drive on recruiting new members.
Okay, and did she say what she did to get them there, or was it just like basic, I invite somebody and they would?
I think it was, she said like she networks a lot. So everywhere she goes, she tells people about Rotary and what it is and invites them to meetings. And that's how she got them to join.
Okay, and what is your thought on this networking thing that Miss Bullet is make y'all do every class?
I mean, it works. It works when it works, but I don't think Rotary for me. So I'm gonna
Okay.
try Toastmasters and see how that is.
Okay, very good. But hopefully you try it before the end of class and share that with us as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
very
So
good.
that's me for the day. I'll do my newspaper another day. But
Okay,
I have to go on mute.
okay, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you too, Bria. Sorry, not Bria, Renita. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Bria, you want to go ahead?
Okay, I haven't been to any Rotary or Kiwanis yet, but I read the newspaper and this one particular article was speaking on the increase of minimum wage, possibly going from $2.50 to $2.60. But the minister, Keith Bell, he was saying they are in the works of increasing minimum wage, but they don't know exactly when it will be implemented. So hopefully, like as the weeks go on, we hear more about that. But we all know like the cost of living is pretty high in the Bahamas. So I know many citizens anticipate for the increase to actually happen. So yeah.
But my God, really $10? Like all of this for $10?
I mean, it ain't much, but it ain't much. And I don't think they still could live off of that, but I guess
right.
it's better.
I don't think $10 is going to make a difference. However, and I don't know if I spoke about it in this class or with another class, but the last time they raised or tried to raise minimum wage, the private sector did not agree, particularly the hotels. And Atlantis had let go, I think, like 200 or 300 mid supervisors in retaliation to what the government did. And so I really hope that they have engaged the private sector this time. And so like innocent people don't suffer because of this effect, because they basically had asked the government to wait, that they couldn't afford it at that time. And the government said, it's been too long. And that's when they raised it, I think from 175 to 210. And so, yeah, a lot of 200 persons lost their job. So I really hope that something like that doesn't happen again.
But hopefully, seeing that they like in talks about it now, hopefully it increases by the end of the year, because it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
hopefully.
It is. It completely is. Yes. Okay,
That's
good.
my 5 cents.
Right. All right. Thank you for sharing. Demetria.
Hi, good day, Ms. Bullard.
Good day.
Hi. Well, I want to talk about something that I read in the paper today about a cigarette supplier who lost a multi-million tax battle.
Okay.
Okay. Apparently, they produced the palm cigarette, and there was alleging that they was exempt from the tax payments, the excess tax and the excess tax and the excise tax stamp. And the judge basically just like done away with it completely. And that's about it. I think that's sad for the AML company.
Sorry, I didn't hear you, Demetria. What did you say happened to them?
You didn't, okay. They lost a multi-million tax battle.
Okay, with who? Which country?
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I don't know which country for sure, but it was just saying that they didn't pay the taxes to customs.
With the Bahamas then, with the Bahamas, they didn't pay, okay.
They didn't pay customs, the excess tax,
Uh-huh.
and the tax stamp, and then the judge just done away with it. Yeah, I think that's sad that they didn't pay their taxes, because that could bring them down a bit.
Yeah, well, around the world, or every country is fighting for their taxes now around the world. And so therefore, so all the laws have been changed, all the laws have been updated. And so you know, especially after the pandemic, nobody is playing around with, you know, taxes being owed. And so all the persons who would have tried to defraud the system or, you know, didn't pay when they were supposed to, yeah, the governments are going after them. So,
And the reason why that stuck out to me was because when I read chapter 2, that was one of the taxes that was, you know, in chapter 2. So I said, oh, you know.
yeah, so you can
Yeah.
definitely use that as an example when you write your essays.
Okay.
Right. Okay, good.
Okay.
Very good.
Right. Right.
Nicolette?
Good evening. I read the story about the shooting on the weekend at the baby shower, and I guess that's considered another example of domestic terrorism. I think 5 persons were shot, 1 died. And also, last week you would mention the case against Hiram Cox, where he allegedly tried to bribe. I think there was a person who was, I guess, fined for trying to evade taxes for over $100,000, and I think he tried to bribe them for $10,000 to get rid of that tax charge. And yesterday they had an article saying that the charges were dropped against him.
Okay, you said yesterday they had an article in the paper that said what?
The charges against Hiram Cox.
Hiram?
Yeah, who the manager at Inland Revenue.
Revenue, and what did they say about it?
That the charges were dropped.
Really?
Yeah.
That I have to keep Hiram as my friend. Hiram mean your cousin ain't. Just because you all have the last name, the same last name.
I don't
So, okay, I just check it. No. Hiram is my co-worker, and he was, and when we get to chapter, I can save that story. Yeah, when we get to chapter 8 or 9, yeah, we can look at some of his cases, but I have to keep him in my loop, in my network, because Hiram is scared of everything, every case.
Also, this isn't his first.
No, this is like his 3rd rodeo, and he's innocent and all, so good person to have in your network, good connect.
Okay.
But we'll talk about him later. We'll talk about him in chapter 8 or 9.
Okay.
Okay, good, very good. Thank you for sharing. Shauna, and I ain't getting no feedback from nobody. 20 persons in there, nobody have nothing to say about these newspaper readings. You're all there or you're sleeping?
I'm right here.
Yeah, okay, we need some feedback then. We have a discussion base.
Yes, I did heard that the gentleman, Mr. Cox, was acquitted yesterday sometime.
Wow.
And like you did say, yes, he got acquitted for a couple of these little things that he been doing.
Yeah. But I guess it's your network. If you know the right people, but it's sad that he is continuously falsely accused. It's very sad.
That's true.
Yeah.
Somebody else could have been. Somebody else was inside Inland Revenue who was working along with that, dealing with and helping them, being able to get these same deals.
Yeah. Yep. Well, good for him. So that means now, is he going to sue the government like Sheen Gibson did? Are the taxpayers going to have to repay him now for the reputational risk that he suffered? And are they going to have to give him all of his salary? Because was he on half pay or did he get let go when he got charged?
Well, they didn't really disclose that whether he was on administrative, like you say, half pay or if he was on administrative leave. You know, like I said, the news articles didn't say anything like that.
Okay, but guys,
More than
don't be
likely,
surprised.
More than likely, he had to been on half pay.
Yeah, he had to been on something. So
yes, he have to, because especially if you hold a high post like that.
Right. So
yeah, but he was
taxpayers, don't be surprised. So we
I didn't hear the last name.
Yasmin, we can hear you.
He was on administrative leave because, as you said, it was his 3rd time around, and they were trying to, I guess, investigate deeper than what they were doing before. But I guess he get, I mean, if he get acquitted, then what are we doing?
So now we have to pay him the assessment for all the salary loss for the reputational risk. Is he gonna get 250,000 too?
All of it.
Or more, Avery? You say he should get more?
Yeah.
I would hope not, because that's more coming out of my pocket. My little pocket
Hey.
can't handle it.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, that's
We gotta find it though.
Oh, we can find it. We can find it, but stay tuned to all these acquittals. When, like I say, these persons have had 4 and 5 rodeos and they keep getting acquitted. And now this thing on reputational risk is a big thing. And so all the suffering he endured was they tried to prosecute him. Now we have to pay for. Yeah. Anyway, y'all read the newspaper. Let's see if they back up in. Keep reading, keep following it. Let's see if in a couple of weeks there's a big confidential payout for him. Okay, very good. Shauna.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. First day in class. Nice to meet everybody. I read The Guardian today. And basically they were speaking about they was mentioning the ranking of the 10 Caribbean nations, the top 10 Caribbean nations that have experienced skyrocketing prices as a result of the 40-year high inflation rate. And the Economic Commission for Latin America, basically they say that we are behind St. Lucia and Jamaica. We're above Jamaica, which I don't think is a good thing.
But which number did they give a rating?
Yes, they did. They said we're at 6.2%. So the Bahamas has been an inflation of 6.2%, basically, and the Caribbean nations are basically the most. We're experiencing the highest in inflation because I guess we import
yeah,
a lot of our items, and we should expect that food they said the most is food, non-alcoholic beverages, transportation, all of these items we should expect to go up, but they are trying to mitigate it by basically, they say they're geared towards monetary and exchange rate policies to help to curtail our inflation rate. And I guess as it relates to compliance in reference to the monetary and exchange rate policies, I guess that could be room for like a doorway, so to speak, in persons to do corrupt things. So we shall see as the time progresses.
right.
And no, I haven't joined any civil organizations as yet. Trying to juggle my job. And
yeah, you don't have to become a member. You can just attend a meeting.
Okay.
That's one.
So I will look into that then.
Okay, great. Okay, Shauna, welcome and thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay,
You're
any
welcome.
comments on what Shauna read in the paper?
Yes, they also include housing, which they said that housing will raise the most, which I think that's just wrong, because a lot of people can't even afford rent, and people rent is be $1,500 for 1 bedroom, depending on the area, especially if you have kids and you want to be in a safe environment. What you expect these people to do? Like how you expect these people really to have a place to stay? So that means that we're gonna have more to, if it does grow to the 14 to 29% as estimated, we're gonna have a lot more people homeless,
But
which
not
is
only
going
that,
to increase crime.
can I interject? I just want to say too that yes, it's gonna be bad, but the rich will get richer in the season. Who can afford it? So it's good and it's bad. Because I've actually seen recently where someone who was selling a place, they had it at a certain point, at a certain purchase price, and they increased it. And because our real estate is increasing, they actually got more money for what more than what they were asking for. So it's good and it's bad.
Yeah, but the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer, right? And then this is how we wipe out, like somebody said, that either you're rich or poor, there's no middle class, right? And so essentially that's what happens. This wipes out the middle class. And the majority of us are middle class, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so that's,
Yes,
we need
ma'am.
a plan. We seriously need to look at this backyard farming.
And all of these things are like connected too, though, Miss Bullet and everybody else. Everything is like connected. So your salary is not going anywhere, but the inflations are straight across the board. So the middle class is going to really catch a really hefty blow on this whole thing. I don't see much good in it, except for the rich.
Except that like it wipes us out, right? Yeah. Yeah, okay, but start to think of ways to, like I say, cut costs always. Carpooling, saving on gas, and this backyard farming, we have to take it seriously. We really have to take it seriously because the price of fruits and vegetables is, I'm talking about astronomical. And I don't even, I live in the East. I don't have a big property, but my son, during the pandemic, he went outside, he planted a lot of seeds. And within 1 year, we had pumpkins, we had watermelons, all sorts of like chives and sugar apples, a lot of stuff. We even have a pear tree and what's the juju tree. So the trees, I surprisingly caught with little or no yard space and just a little bit of TLC. So I was very surprised. Even the coconuts, we planted coconut trees 2 years ago, and they are now bearing. So that would cut half of your grocery bill. I would think, with the fruits and vegetables, they seem pretty easy to grow rather than having to purchase those, and it's a good hobby as well. So, I mean, it may sound very remedial. You always say, Miss Bullet, nobody going outside to do that, but do it before you have to, do it before you
I
have to.
totally agree with you, Ms. Bullet.
Yeah.
But there's an initiative where they're giving grants to backyard farmers and local farmers.
Sorry, Shalisa, could you put your mic, please? Thanks.
Yeah, they have an initiative going on where they're giving grants to backyard farmers and local farmers for, like, if you want to sell your stuff in the produce exchange, if you want to, I guess, produce for sale, they're giving you money so that you could start, I guess, a startup business as per se. So that's a pretty good thing. And
Yeah,
I mean,
is
that's
this through
heading
the SBDC or is this something else?
I don't remember. I had a little flyer and I was reading up on it online, but
Okay.
I just know that you could get up to $10,000 for this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, the SBDC was giving fishermen and farmers up to 50,000.
yeah, that's different. That's a different program.
That's a different money. Okay. That's a different money. Okay. Who's this one through Avery? Do you know?
I can't remember. It may be IC or something like that in conjunction with there was another person doing it along with them.
Okay, I'll have to look that up. But
Leroy Major and someone else. I think.
yeah, so look it up. There are grants out there, and grants you don't have to pay back. You just have to apply. They may have some paperwork and fill it out. You may be surprised. Okay, and I see Hasty, you're asking if there is it impossible for rent controls? Hasty, I don't know if you live in the Bahamas, but just like the price control people, when there are hurricanes, the price control people say, they come on TV, oh, they're price gouging. Plywood has gone up 30%, food, and we are going to deal with them to the fullest extent of the law. Nothing happens. I have never seen super value being brought before the courts for price gouging or budget or none of them. Y'all can let me know.
I agree. I agree.
Company. Yeah, so right, you're right.
I agree too.
Just for sure.
But a lot of things we don't really enforce around here. But
Right.
but once it's in place, that means at least you could have people that could actually stand by something if they fight for it. If the people in the country, you know what I mean?
Hey,
I
see,
don't
they've
know,
been
like-
around. They have a whole office, the price control people and everything.
So
They've
what you
been
can't
around before
find,
we
you
go
can,
on.
ain't no
They've been around.
fines to go along with these type of things, no?
Miss Bullet, it's just like that's inland revenue. No, not inland revenue. That's the people who do the crown line. You remember when they were saying how their staff is so short staff and they're not able to do anything? I feel as though it's going to come right back to that. Everybody's
Town planning aid.
excuses.
Town planning?
So the crown line.
No, crown
But
line.
Yasmin had some luck with the crown line.
Yeah, she
You can
did.
get to know the Yasmin if you don't
No,
know.
no, no, we spoke.
Today.
We spoke.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, but like
I'm
I
just
say, they
saying,
have
I'm
these.
Sorry, I was just saying that nothing really never happens with stuff like that. You know, everybody always makes excuses. As much as they come up and they parade and say, oh, it's going to be done and this is going to happen and this is not going to happen.
We just need to start fining.
But they need to do their work. Hey, see, they don't do anything. They don't do anything. The commissions are there. They are in place. And like I say, every hurricane, they come on the TV and say, oh, the bread basket item shouldn't cost this or it shouldn't cost that. Nothing is ever done. The price don't even drop during the hurricane. Okay, so this is what I always say. We need like-minded persons. We need educated persons. We need ethical persons to rise up. And this is what I'm asking everybody that I teach to do. Please look at these boards. Please look at these various commissions that are out there that are semi-governmental or, you know, that the government should be manning and have not been effective for many years and apply to go and sit on these boards. Because we just need to wash, they need to be washed, and we need new, you know, intelligent people who are ethical, who know that, hey, this is what my position is and I'm going to carry it out for the people.
Either you're going to get booed out or you're going to conform.
Yeah, but if it's enough of us, and this is why I say, get the 5 of your closest friends that you hang out with, party for 3 weekends. 1 weekend, the 5 of y'all brainstorm. Okay? The 5 of y'all get on the board. And make up a new board.
Ms. Bullet, it seems like you don't realize you live in the Bahamas now.
I live in the Bahamas, but that's where it starts.
The politics.
Because everything is about the clicks and the rest of it.
Right. So this is why I'm telling you to form your own clique. Form your own clique of educated, network with like-minded persons, and make it different. What we can do, like I say, we sit down and talk for 3 hours. We have great ideas. We never carry them out.
It's the company y'all were
just accept this for the rest of our life.
The company y'all was talking about, is it the Bahamas Venture Fund who was giving out some loans? Who was giving out some grants?
No, but the venture fund gives out grants. That's a separate entity.
Okay. What I wanted to ask you was, you was asking if we understand the reason why you want us to go to these social groups, right?
Civic
the meetings,
organizations,
civic organizations for the social meetings, right?
Mhm.
So Actually, I do want to know what's the purpose of it, because you know, a lot of times you attend the meetings and the topic is really nothing about what this subject topic is, of course, is about. So is it that you just want us to get that interaction, or should it have some type of connection to this course?
No, it doesn't. It will never be about compliance, right? So the purpose is to network, and that's what I said. The corporate Bahamas, they don't sit to the dock or to the fish fry. They in these Rotary clubs, they in Toastmasters, and they in Kiwanis. Okay, and so we live in a nation, and like I said, it's not only in the Bahamas, but Canada, Canadians are having the same problem where you do not move up the corporate ladder unless you know somebody. Okay, and so what I'm trying to say is, if we don't have friends, lovers, and family, the professional way to do it is get out there and to network. Okay, and so you're already in the class, you're qualifying yourself. When a position comes available, like I say, there are 20 persons in this class. Just human nature. I already know you hasty from intro. And if I knew nobody else in here and all of us have the same designation at the end, I could hire you. And that's what happening. You see the same persons moving up the ladder every single time. Correct?
Yeah, that's how it usually goes. Man.
That's how it goes. And so therefore, we have to be strategic. We have to put ourselves out there. We have to get to know the movers and shakers. We have to qualify ourselves. And so when a position comes available, Ms. Bullet don't have to say, I do Hasty a favor. I can say Hasty qualified, and I'm her reference because I know her already.
Right.
Right?
I don't
And
know.
so
Get it?
the purpose is to network.
Right. Okay. All right.
Okay, so introduce yourself. Don't just go sit there and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the topics will help you with other aspects of life. You know, this is about compliance, but I hope that we all leave here like well-rounded. You know, like we can develop other skills. Okay, to be successful corporately. So that's the purpose. Sorry, Avery, you said something?
No, that's fine.
No, what's your take on it? Ms. Bullet, just taking up your personal time. What's your take on it?
With the, what you mean with the organizations?
Yes.
I'm not part of any right now. I did sign up for Kiwanis. I think I'll be starting that next week, Wednesday, of Cable Beach. It's pretty decent, but other than that, I meet with a group of guys on Friday. There's a bunch of us, and we talk about several things. There's some guys from CFAL and other organizations around.
Okay, great. And so, you know, that's just a suggestion. If you have a group already, and I'm not saying that you must join, you know, I'm just saying attend, network, get to know some people, the executives, and ask them to mentor you.
Yeah.
Or you find somebody to mentor if you are at that point.
Yeah, I think I'm the youngest guy that meets with them. So I
Okay.
do.
But you have to be around like-minded people who want to make a difference and who going somewhere. So that's why I say the same 5 people that do hang out with on the weekends, party for 3 weekends. One weekend, let's say, you know, what can we do for our country? How do we make this money? How do we get rid of this black crowd syndrome? What can we learn from the Chinese? The Chinese live on 20% and they save 80%. Can we save 80% one week? The Africans own the car lots. What can we own in this Bahamas?
Miss Bullard?
Yes.
I just wanted to know, how many sessions are we to attend?
As much as you want, but one that you have to share with the class.
Okay.
And if you wish to join, then join.
And I wanted to know if anyone in the class actually is a part of one of them and can probably give a recommendation.
Nobody, or 20 year old, come on, somebody who is sending in the last group.
I have a contact.
I have a contact as well, but I'm not a part of any. So I'll send it in the group whenever they like reconvene.
And I have another contact as well. They meet on Mondays.
I just asked someone for a contact for Toastmasters as well. I can share it in the group if you wish.
Okay, great. Thank you all for sharing. Yeah, so send it all to the WhatsApp chat. And then two, it's very easy. You can just go online to Facebook, and most of the groups have a Facebook page, and whichever meeting is convenient for you, then attend. And a lot of them are still virtual. So, you know, it's good that you could dress up and go in person, but if not, you can attend it virtually as well. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, guys.
you.
Good. Good. Very good. Okay, thank you for sharing. Very interesting articles, and yeah, let's follow some of them to see what the outcomes are and how it affects, you know, the Bahamian people. Okay, so let's talk about taxes, something primarily new to the Bahamas. Of course, for a very long time, we only had the tariffs, which was the customs duty. A few years back, we got VAT. We always had national insurance. However, around the world, countries, you know, have very high deficits like the Bahamas. And it was actually Obama back in 2014 that said, you know, before I bow to the Chinese, I'm gonna fix my tax system. And he said that because everybody in the world was borrowing money from the Chinese, okay? And so the Chinese have this habit, you know, they save a lot of money and then they decided they want to give you a gift. So for instance, our stadium was a gift to the Bahamas. And so they sent a lot of their prisoners here to build our stadium. And then we didn't read the fine print. They gave it to us as a gift. However, we had to outfit our stadium with stuff from China, the seats, what have you, had to be outfitted from China, which came to the sum of $50 million. And then if you look at the seats, you know, Bahamians eat peas and rice and macaroni and plantain. And so, you know, our bodies could barely fit in the seats.
Very small.
And, yeah, very small. And so therefore, you know, that's the fine print. And so America saw that happening to a lot of countries. In fact, countries like Guatemala and other countries out of Africa borrowed so much money from the Chinese. The Chinese said, you know, you defaulted on this loan, you cannot pay, and therefore we are going to acquire your port. So imagine, you know, we make about, I think, $7 million in tax, with departure tax from our port. So imagine the Chinese coming in, and because we are borrowing now $192 million to build this port. The day we can't pay, and we don't even have to have a pandemic not to be able to pay. Normally, the Bahamas can't pay their bills. Imagine China coming and saying they're acquiring our port. That means all the revenue that the port generates goes to them. And so they have a habit of overlending money to countries where they know they cannot pay, and then coming in and possessing their land. And so this is back to what Obama said: before I bow to China, because America would have borrowed so much money, I'm going to fix my tax system. And America actually paid $18 million, or invested $18 million into their IRS to fix their tax system. Okay, and they call that FACA, which is the Foreign Account Compliance Act. Okay, and so what that means is no matter where you are or who you, once you're an American citizen, no matter where you have an account in the world, that country then has to report into the IRS that your citizen, Yasmin Ford, has money in a bank in the Bahamas. Okay, so what did this mean for the Bahamas? Of course, we were known as a tax haven. We had a lot of offshore accounts, and persons did not disclose to America that I'm an American citizen and I have this money in an account in the Bahamas. So American and Canadian taxes are between 15 to 35%. And so therefore, if you have $10 million, can you imagine paying up to 35% to America each year? And so the alternative to that is to put your money in another country and just not declare to the IRS that you have this money. So Obama put the law in place, FACA, that every country around the world must tell America if they have money, if their citizens have money there, and you can keep your money in that country. However, you will still have to pay American taxes. And so I think the first year was 2017 when they implemented FACA, and America collected into the billions of dollars in taxes from various countries around the world. And so because countries saw that that worked for America, each country then decided that we're going to fix our tax system as well. So Switzerland fixed their one, then Germany and England and every other country in the world fixed their tax system, and they call that Common Reporting Standards. So that's CRS. Shauna, you have a question?
Isn't it like bullying? I mean, I could be wrong, but just if
Shauna, you
you're,
don't know who America is?
I was reading it and I was like, when I was reading about, it's like America has so much power.
They
And
do.
to me,
They are the most powerful nation in the world.
to me,
You don't know that?
it seems like it's bullying.
Okay, but let
Like-
me tell you how much bullying it is. America said, you must tell us which American citizen has their money in your country. However, we are non-reciprocal, which means a Bahamian can go and
Wow.
put $10 million in America, and we're not going to tell the Bahamas, we're not going to tell Germany, we're not going to tell Spain.
Wow.
Okay, so let me tell you who else is non-reciprocal. The UAE is not reciprocal. Cayman is not reciprocal. And then our brother country, Turks and Caicos, just doesn't even have a central bank, so they don't do anything. Okay, but they are British outlying islands. So again, all of us are equal, but some of us are more equal than others. And so they make us do it, and they collect their billions of dollars. Luckily, the Bahamas does not have income tax, but Spain has it, and Germany have it. So a German can have their money in America and don't have to pay the taxes to Spain.
We saw happen though.
Sorry?
We'll soon have it.
I
Yeah.
think so
I
too.
didn't hear you, Avery.
I think we'll soon have the income tax. Sooner or later.
Well, they're proposing it, but
Right.
not right now, right? And so, yeah, so they're non-reciprocal. So we have to do it, and they don't do it at all. And they came up with this. Go ahead, Lanique.
Ms. Bullitt, for the FATCA thing with them, with now it being all of the country, like most countries around the world, is it when the person lives here, or it's just when their money is here?
No, well, they call it indicia. If you have American indicia, and so they give you a list. And the same thing for CRS, they give you a list. And so therefore the list will tell you if you have an American address, and you know, a lot of us have that just for shipping purposes.
Right.
I went to college in Atlanta, and so I have a US driver's license. So they call that American indicia. And so they say, report this person and we'll tell you if they're liable to the US for taxes. But I know I have a driver's license and I'm a Bahamian, and, you know, but there's a reasonableness test. And a very famous star, Shakira, she is in problems.
Yeah, she
now
got
with
problems for it, yeah.
Right, with Spain, because she does, you know, the Bahamas says, come to the Bahamas, spend $750,000, purchase a home, and we'll give you citizenship. So she
Right.
did that. However, she went on tour in Spain. And when she filed her taxes to Spain, she said, oh, I'm a Bahamian citizen. But whoever works at the IRS in Spain says, wait a minute, but you were on tour all through Spain. So how could you have been living in the Bahamas? And so there's a reasonableness test where you're allowed to spend 180 days. If you go over 183, then you're liable to Spain for taxes. Because that means you would have driven on their roads, you'll use their water, their electricity, their hospital if you needed to. And so she failed the reasonableness test simply because she is a star and they followed her. And so they knew that she indeed did not stay in the Bahamas. So that's a big, she had already paid, I think, some $15 million.
50 minutes, yeah.
And now they are now charging her with extortion and lying again. Because remember now, you pay this each year. And it's a percentage of what you make. And if they making $10 million a year, every year they pay a percentage. And very rich people, they hate governments. They hate insurances because they don't feel like the government puts the money where it's supposed to go. We still have potholes. You can't send your children to the school without being unfair to their life. You go to Princess Margaret, you wait for 3 hours, 3 days, sorry. And so therefore, nobody wants to pay the tax to the government.
Miss Bullard,
Yeah.
did the Bahamas get in problems for that?
Well, she lied.
I know she lied, but we still
right.
grant
So
citizenship.
Spain, no,
based
they
on-
looked at the stamp in her passport. You know, when you
Okay.
go in and out of country, they looked in the stamp and they could see that she stayed for more than 183 days. And so she lied. Now, I don't know if they would have liaised to find out if she, you know, they didn't need to contact the Bahamas because they could see it right from the passport stamp.
Okay.
You see, so I don't know if they needed to contact us. If they did, they would have gone through the Attorney General office and gotten information if they needed to. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's what, you know, we had to update our data protection laws. We had to do away with all our secrecy laws. And so now we disclose this information to the various countries. And so there are two types of jurisdictions under FACA and CRS. Model 1 is we send it to our competent authority, and the Bahamas is a Model 1 jurisdiction, which means the Compliance Commission is our competent authority for FACA and CRS. And so each year around July, the Compliance Commission will send out a list of countries that we signed agreements with to send tax information to them. And so we upload all this information up into the Compliance Commission system, and then they share it with the IRS in Spain, the IRS in Germany, the IRS in France, and the IRS in the US, okay? A Model 2 jurisdiction is that you go directly to the country. And so if you make a mistake, you back and forth with Germany, and because each country has a different type of tax structure. Some countries are common law, some countries are civil law. So it's a very complex function, okay? And unfortunately, they've dropped that on compliance. Now, compliance should not be operational, and this function definitely makes compliance operational. But when it came out in 2017, nobody knew what to do. We only had tariffs. VAT had just come on. We still didn't even know what to do with VAT. So compliance is supposed to be smart, right? And so they sent all the compliance officers out to one training, and then you figure out how to make this work. Okay, so that's essentially what happened. So as a part of the account opening package, each institution now should have a FACA and a CRS form. It's normally the W8, the W9, and we're going to look at those. They should be at the back of your book. But primarily you are working in commercial, so you may not even see those forms. Do you all have US or other country citizens, or no, just Bahamians?
We have the FATCA forms, but not I've never seen the WA whatever forms. But I had a question. Is it one set form for all, like for everyone, or does each company have their own verbiage?
Okay. Yeah, so each company has their own verbiage, but let me I will show you some forms, and if you can look at the back of the book for the W8 and W9, but I'll also pull those up so we can look at it, because these are very popular multiple choice questions on the exam. So, and persons always get confused. So we're going to take a look. Alicia, go ahead. You have a question?
Yes, I have a question. Good evening, everybody. Now, it's almost like the niece question, but I was familiar with the W8 ban and the W9 ban being mainly for FACA and not CRS as that deals with US individuals. So for
Yeah, they are the US forms. Yeah, the
Right.
W8, W9 are the US forms.
No, because
The
I'm
OECD has a form for CRS.
yes, 'cause I'm familiar with those as I know the reporting just finished because I had to assist with my team with that. So in regards to the CRS, I mean I only have to ever complete one FACA form for the competent authority because we only had one individual who has US status. But
But when you open an account, you won't fill out a form for
yes,
everybody fills out the W8 and the W9.
right. But
Yeah.
as you stated, in 2017, there wasn't really a need before then for I guess individuals or clients to fill out that form because there was no need to report those before then. So for individuals who had accounts or stuff like that, what was their measures?
You
Because
had to go, just like if a passport expires, you have to go call the customer in and tell the customer there's a new government requirement. You have to come and fill out the CRS form.
Right, but that's only if they're still a customer, correct?
Yeah, only if they were still a customer.
Customer until
If
that
they were
point.
closed, then no, it didn't. It wasn't for close. It was just for open accounts.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's just look whilst we're talking about it. So when customers come into the bank to open up accounts, primarily if you work in offshore or in commercial, then you must fill out the CRS forms to say that you don't have any US indicia. And so again, like I said, US indicia is a driver's license, a telephone number, or what have you. And so let me just share the screen. So
Sorry, Miss Bullard.
Yeah.
I want to say the W8 is for all citizens except US, and the W9 ban is just for US clients, US
Correct.
citizens. Yeah.
Yeah, so W8 ban is for individuals that are foreign to the US. Okay. And write this down, please, because I think the book may have mixed it up. And this is the form on the screen. Okay. Individuals foreign to the US.
Hi, Ms. Bullet.
The W9 just for US individuals.
Hi, somebody else had a question?
Yeah, no, that's me. That's out here. No, I was asking. No, let's go back to that same W8. What you say? What's the purpose of that form?
So when you go into an institution to open an account, it should be one of their account opening forms. Okay, and it says that I am not a citizen of the USA, and I'm an individual.
Okay.
Yeah, so it should be an account opening form. Okay.
And then you said the W9, that one is for.
That I am a US citizen or I have US indicia.
Oh.
Okay, so this is the W8. I'm an individual and I'm not a US citizen. Okay, I also want you to pay attention to this date, expiry date or revision. They call it a revision date. Okay. If you work in offshore and you have a trading arm or your customers trade, it's against US law for customers to trade on an expired form. Now this form expires every 3 years. Okay. And so therefore you have to make sure that every 3 years, the new form is signed by a customer, especially if you work in offshore, because you could go to jail. Okay, because they're now doing a audit, and that falls under the qualified intermediary rules, and you cannot be trading in the US market on an expired form. So every 3 years, this has to be updated. Okay? The W-9 also has an expiry date. And then there's the W-BEN-E. So W-BEN, W-8-BEN is for individuals. W-8-BEN-E is for entities, non-resident or foreign to the US entity. Okay? Another thing that you could go to jail for or get a fine for, if this information, this Chapter 3 status is not filled out properly. Okay? In the banks, we do not have tax lawyers on staff. And so for very complex companies, we tell them, you must go to your tax lawyer and have this filled out. We do not give tax advice. And we also do not advise. Okay, because of course you see these big heavy fines that they're paying. If this is filled out incorrectly, and companies try to fill it out incorrectly because again, they pay between the 15 and 35%. And so they want to go into the categories that pay the less tax. So you tell them up front, we're not responsible to tell you what type of organization you are. And as you can see, there are many types. There's a partnership, a complex trust, an estate, international organization, and then participating FFI, reporting Model 1, non-reporting, you're not a tax lawyer. Don't try and guess. Okay? This form has to be filled out properly, especially if they're in the market. You go to jail. And like I say, they're doing now a compliance every 3 years, want to make sure nobody's trading and the form is expired, and making sure that the forms are filled out correctly. And if you're reporting on CRS and FACA each year in January, that's when you should start updating your files, making sure that no forms are expired, making sure the information is still correct, so that in July you can upload to the Compliance Commission, who will then send that on to the IRS. Once that information is gone, you could get into a lot of trouble if that information is expired or incorrect. Okay, is that clear?
Yes, ma'am.
W-8-BEN is for individuals. Look at the E on the end, is for entities. And then W-9 is for US citizens. Okay,
Hi.
let me take the questions. Go ahead.
Miss Bullard, you said section 3, make sure that's completed
Properly.
or completed properly.
Yeah, make sure it's completed properly. If see, the entity needs to know that they spoke to their tax lawyer or to their lawyer to tell them their Chapter 4 status. Okay? What type of company are they? Are they a simple trust? Are they a central bank issue, whatever that is? A grantor trust? Are they a tax exempt organization? That means they must be an NPO, a nonprofit or something. Are they a private foundation? Are they a corporation, an estate, international organization? That has to be filled out properly. Then this Chapter 4 status has to be filled out properly. And this is like 6 pages. This isn't, the entire form has to be filled out properly. Okay, when I was in charge of doing the compliance, and so it's very complex. Somebody from the IRS in New York had to come and train me. Okay, and I was just lucky that my company even offered that type of training. And they really only offered that because the IRS was giving us a very hefty $100,000 fine. So somebody came in from the IRS that we asked for training as a part of them trying to negotiate. We have a new employee, please come, how can we get training? They said, oh, we'll be happy to come to the Bahamas. And they came, and that's how I was able to learn how to avoid being fined with these forms. Okay, we do not give tax advice. The company has to go out to their tax lawyer, or if they ask if you offer that advice service and you have a tax lawyer you could refer them to, you just want to make sure that the information is correct. Okay, that it's been verified, that they didn't just guess or they didn't just say, and you should have some basic training to know that whether they are participating FFI or non-reporting FFI. Okay, and let me show you too where what gives you. This is the CRS form. This is from the OECD. Some companies just pull it off the OECD website, and some companies, you know, add stuff to it. They give you definitions and they tell you what, you know, and you can look in the definitions. I'm trying to look for the definitions. Yeah, in this section, they give you guidance notes and tell you, you know, what is an active NFE, and so you would be able to identify upfront if your customer just tried to, you know, put in a type or a description that just has a lower tax rate. Okay, and so this is how the OECD, the Common Reporting Standard form looks. And so again, FACA is 100% US, CRS is the rest of the world. Okay, so these two forms should be filled out. Each person as well as company should have a TIN number. They have just recently made it mandatory to put in a TIN number on the OECD site. It tells you whether or not that country offers a TIN number. So if you say you are from the Bahamas, we don't have income tax and we don't have TIN number, so the system would not ask you for a TIN number for the Bahamas. So you say no TIN. And you also have to put in the reason. Okay, so again, all of this is so countries around the world could receive what is due to them. However, you know, they had a big repatriation period. We saw that the offshore world contracted. Banking is our second sector. It used to be 20% of GDP. I think we lost 17% with, you know, CRS and FACA, because why would you keep your money 3,000 miles away if you still have to pay the tax anyway? And so a lot of persons had only set up companies to evade that tax or open up accounts offshore to evade that tax. So countries around the world had a big repatriation period, 2 years to bring your money back home. We won't ask you any questions. We won't charge you any tax, you know? So we saw 80% of our clients say, listen, we taking our money back to the US. We taking our money, we lost all of our US clients. We taking our money back to Canada, back to Spain. It just makes no sense. Okay? So in order to avoid, and write down the word avoid, because I don't want you to confuse it with evade. Okay? Of course, the, you know, lawyers and government officials write these laws, right? And so they're the ones with all this money, right? The rest of us broke. And so they write the laws to be convenient to them. And they know how to evade the law. Or sorry, avoid the law. And so in order to stay in business in the offshore world after 2017, you had to be a very savvy banker. Okay, and so they created FACA and CRS for dummies, and then a FACA and CRS loopholes that showed you some loopholes, how you could still keep your money offshore and not have to pay the tax to your country. And so again, you would have to have a very savvy banker who would have read those 100 pages and saw how to avoid the law. Okay? And so, like I said, with tax evasion, my bank was closing down, and we had the IRS stop us and say, this customer is being fined by the IRS. He had $10 million. We had to send the IRS $6 million, he got 4. And that man sat on the phone with me and he cried when I told him that the fine was $6,000. That was the day before my bank closed. Okay, and so there's millions of dollars these countries are taking for tax evasion. So you must find a way to avoid and not evade. And so the way that you avoid is you buy energy efficient washers and dryers and refrigerators, and pay 5% versus a normal refrigerator that would cost you 45%. Or you get unassembled furniture, which is 5% versus assembled furniture being 45%. Okay, that's how you avoid. Now, when all us payments, we go to Miami, we have a $500 exemption. When we come back, every Bahamian woman is say, I only spent $500. Are we avoiding or are we evading and going to jail? Who should be arrested in here today?
We're avoiding.
No comment.
Oh, I wonder. I wonder.
I with the no comment part. I with the no comment.
You with the no comment, eh?
You're invading, eh?
Yeah, no comment.
No comment, eh? But we know the difference. If we were to say any Bahamian woman in here say she spent $500, is she evading or avoiding?
Can you prove it? Okay.
All of y'all going to jail then. All of y'all. Bria, you have a question?
Why one suitcase? You can't prove that.
Now, Bria, you never had one suitcase coming back from Miami. Yeah. You never had one suitcase.
Miss Bullard, I take half of that stuff with me when I was going, so you can't.
No bail for the ass, man. No bail.
Wear all of that.
If you wear it, isn't it considered used? So you can't.
Exactly. I'm with the used items. If I wore that on my trip, that should not be charged.
I invite my custom friends to this class next week to take some names.
They can't prove
Bring them.
That's what I can do. Okay. So I just want y'all to understand avoidance versus evasion. And like we said, Shakira thought, oh, I'm avoiding. However, they were able to, Miss, you've been on tour in Spain the whole summer. They count those days and they really stuck it to her. So if you want to use an example, and that's the way to answer the question, okay? The question will probably be on avoid. I don't know if you have it for homework. It may be one of the homework questions. It may be on avoidance versus evasion. And you want to say what avoidance is, you want to say what evasion is, and then you want to give an example. Not only is Shakira a good example, in the papers a few weeks or months ago, there was Superwash, where Superwash had bought in some washing machines. And of course, they always bring in washing machines. And so this time, with all this inflation and backup of shipping, they say these same washers that they brought in last year cost half of what they paid. So last year they paid $600. This year they say the washers cost $300. Okay, and so of course the customer officials saw that and said, Superwash is trying to evade taxes. But they were able to say that the broker made a mistake, put a 3 instead of a 6, and they will now pay the difference of what is owed, because they were going to be charged this bad with trying to evade. Okay, so that broker almost got Superwash to get in trouble. Right?
Really? They still have been charged? Because we know
Really
that was
now.
Okay, so they're good. I just want y'all to leave with knowing those forms, and everybody is getting mixed up. When y'all get to the exam, you're confused about W8 and W9. Okay, you're confused about CRS and FACA. You're confused. Very easy question to answer, but persons get confused about avoidance versus evading. Okay, so make sure you document it properly. Ria, go ahead with your question.
So, Ms. Bullet, is the financial institution ever charged for wrongful, like if the client fill out wrong tax information?
Yeah, yes, because if it is too complex, like there are guidance notes out there. And so when these complex corporations bring in their form, if you truly cannot determine if they filled it out correctly, you are then to ask for a letter from their tax lawyer. Okay, and that's how you protect yourself. Like I said, we were being fined because our forms were expired and persons were still trading in the US market. That means we simply did not go out to the customer and ask for update because we didn't even know. We saw the expiry date, but we didn't know, you know. And then, you know, if blatant negligence, yeah, or you cooperating with the client, they say, you know, because there are ways to avoid, but you have to know how. Takes a lot of reading. Takes you to be a very savvy banker. That's the only way. It's very competitive in the offshore world, but there are ways to avoid. If you help the customer evade, you're going to jail. Your whole bank could close down. Like if we close down the bank and tell the IRS, oh, sorry, IRS, we done send them minus $10 million. You take? So they would have dig us up from the grave. None of us would have been able to work anywhere else in the world. Till the IRS get their $6 million. Okay? So we hold that bank open like a month, waiting on the IRS to come up with a figure.
Okay.
Okay? All right, good. Somebody else, Lisa, I think somebody else had a question.
No, I was looking at the forms. So you said that the W-8 is for the foreign individuals and businesses. Oh, that's for individuals. Because I see it's W-8 Ben with the E, and the E is for the entities.
Yeah, so W-8 Ben is for foreign individuals, foreign to the US. W-8 Ben E is for foreign companies or entities.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Ms. Bullet,
yes.
If that's the case, right? I just trying to understand why commercial bank, like I work at a commercial bank, so why do we only use the FATCA form and not the W-8 Ben forms? Or you don't know why?
You have a choice. Your form is a copy of the, see, okay, those to protect yourself. Each normally in an institution, your account opening forms, they expire every 10 years. So that means every 10 years, you are supposed to go out to your customers and ask for an update. You know how much administrative work that is? And so if you want to avoid having, we had 800 clients. If you wanted to avoid going out to the client every 3 years and asking for an updated form, then you create your own form and put a 10-year expiry date on it, and the IRS accepts that.
Okay.
So that's why, but people don't want to meddle with using the IRS, you know, changing the form and making a mistake. So they just say the safest thing is to use the US IRS form, and we just got updated every 3 years. That could be somebody function.
Yeah, that's why I asked you about that, because I think our forms, like the verbiage, like I say, it's so, it's really ambiguous. I don't think the people could fill it out properly.
Well, then that, remember I tell you, well, that's one of the problems where the forms don't ask the right question for you to determine what type of company it is, or, you know, if you, with the risk is associated with this customer. And so that's a problem. So that's why you must compare. Your form should be a carbon copy. They really shouldn't even change the terminology. Should be a carbon copy of the IRS form. The only difference is that's your internal form, and you have the 10-year expiry date on it. Every single word should be the same. And if it's not,
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if it
not,
is the same or not, but I know we had like, because I guess things keep rapidly changing, because one time ago we were taught to just send up the FATCA forms for the US customers. I think the Yasmin could attest to this. And now we got to send it up for anybody.
Yeah, everybody have to confirm that they are not US. Because remember now, like I say, people like me have US and visa, but I know we're American. I have the driver's license, I have the address, but that only for shipping purposes. You see what I mean? But there are some people who are from the US and go and get citizenship and do all kind of funny stuff. You know what I mean? So you have to ask.
Okay.
Yeah. Geraldo, talk to Miss Bullet, please. Miss Bullet old. I can't read this long message you said. What your question is, Geraldo? I calling your name right?
That's why I'm calling my name right.
Okay. Yeah,
But
what your
people say
question
with
is?
age. I was wondering if this class have like a handbook to get these information, or we get this information online. See, I'm new to this class. This is my first day in the class.
You didn't get a book? You didn't get a book from the office?
I didn't get anything.
Sorry?
I did not got anything.
Yeah, there's a big text.
It's a big old book.
It's a big old textbook with all kind of stuff in it. Go to Miss Dean, and Miss Dean will give you a book.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, because we're on chapter 2, and you have to read before you come to the class.
Okay.
Okay, great. Okay, so do we understand, just an overview of CRS and FATCA? We understand W8, W9. We understand Model 1, Model 2 jurisdiction.
Yes,
evasion versus avoidance.
Yes.
We
Miss
get that.
Bullet,
Yes.
I just have not a question, but like a comment. The office, they need to work on their communication because they don't be saying anything to anyone, especially like when the class start, when it finished, they don't send out no communications or anything. So if he didn't ask if we had a book, he wouldn't even know we had a book, like at all.
Okay, but in my welcome note, I put the dates and the time. Look at the welcome note. Geraldo, did you get the welcome note?
No, I'm talking about materials and like results.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I'll let them know. Perhaps they'll ask me to add it to the welcome note. So I'll let them know. So persons will know, yeah, but at registration, you should be told that come pick up your book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
okay,
did.
thank you, Bria, for that. I'll let them know. Okay, guys, so we want to go on to the type of now taxation. Okay, and of course, we know now with sales and value-added taxes, tax imposed on at all stages of production, goods and provisions, tariffs and excise tax. We know that that's when you import goods into the country. Social security tax, we call it national insurance. Wealth taxes imposed on the taxpayer's network. Okay, and so it goes on to say the MLRO should be expected to understand the international aspects of taxation. And like I said, it was just dropped on compliance. Compliance really shouldn't be operational, but now that we have more trained persons in it, we're moving on to creating a full function for just CRS and FACA, because it's a big job. And everybody thinks that it starts in July. It really doesn't start in July because you have to carry out your due diligence, okay? And when I say carry out your due diligence, like somebody mentioned, when it started, all the countries had not signed on. And so, for instance, Switzerland never signed on until 2020, and we were reporting from 2017. And so each year, when we get the list, now we find out that Switzerland just signed on. And so now, particularly, I had a problem with all of my Swiss clients getting them to sign. And if you wait till July, the portal opens and closes at a certain point. And so you wouldn't be able to upload that information. So you really need to start in January, looking at your forms, checking the country. Panama too, I had a big problem with, because initially Panama didn't sign an exchange agreement with us. And so going out to all those Panamanian companies was difficult as well. Okay, and so what you want to do is check the residency. Go ahead, Alicia.
Okay, thank you. I know you said it's difficult and you should start in January, right? But I think they last sent the updated FACA and CRS country list in June of this year. So what's your advice on how to deal with that so you can report in a timely manner?
Yeah, but see, the thing about it is you have this, at account opening, everybody signs a form. So whether you're reporting or not, you need to know if those forms are correct. If you work with trusts, you only report persons who would have had a distribution in the last year. So you could go out to all of your trustees and say, could you please confirm? Like I had 25 trusts. And so I went out to my trustees because I needed to know if they had a distribution in 2021. So you get that out of the way. I know the list doesn't come out until June, but there are other issues. Some people, I didn't have 10 numbers for persons, and it was okay last year. This year they made 10 numbers mandatory. And so now all of the sheets that had 10 numbers missing or incorrect 10 numbers, because the system, if the 10 number is wrong, the system will stop you. Imagine uploading in August, trying to find a 10 number from a customer, and we all know once we get this information from the customer once, it's like blood to get updated information.
Right.
Correct? Yeah.
Right. It was difficult trying to go back and trying to explain why, especially when that country was just added to the reporting list for the Bahamas. But okay, thank you.
You absolutely cannot wait until June. That is your last check in June to go back over and, you know, any minute changes or any new country that would have added. But if you don't do those steps in January, I'm telling you, you will sleep there from June to August trying to get this information. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. So you have to, you know, organize yourself. There are some checks you could do upfront. Just do them and get them over with.
Okay.
Okay. And then you want to look at the residency of the individual. A lot of people, when fucking CRS came out, they went like Shakira bought the house in the Bahamas. So all the jurisdictions that don't charge taxes, so that's Thailand, Bahamas, the UAE. So we saw everybody now changing. Oh, I no longer live in Switzerland. Their passport on file is Swiss. Now I live in Thailand. Okay.
Right.
And so all of those, they say, okay, bring in a proof of address in Thailand. They brought in these generic rental house agreements, right? That didn't give a direction to the house. They didn't say, you know, like they printed
Right.
offline. So that you had to send that back and say, no, we accept this upfront. Because remember now, when we getting 50 pieces of paper, we ain't reading. We just checking the box. Yeah,
Right.
they send in the rental agreement. When we read it and see it's garbage, or when we finally look at it and we see it in another language that we don't even speak, you have to get it translated, you know, stuff like that.
Yes.
And then I had one customer who we got a subpoena from, who filled out the W-8, and he had a Canadian passport, but on the W-8 he put, oh, I'm a Bahamian citizen. And we said, yeah, okay. Nobody asked him for his citizenship. When we got a subpoena to appear in the U.S. court, we say, Mr. Where's the U.S., where's the Bahamian citizenship before the whole bank shut down and we go to jail? You know what he say? I applied, but they denied me because I was out on bail. Okay. So Miss Bullock was on her way to jail. Okay, because you know I had to fall all over the floor. I say, so what? Yeah, so stuff like that is happening. So when you see these people talking about they from the Bahamas, I need your residency. I need your citizenship. I from Thailand, all these jurisdictions, yes, or that's how they say. We were really just negligent. We weren't cooperating with them. We was just negligent. Okay, so with passport, don't match what they write on that form. You start asking questions.
And
Okay?
certifications.
Yes. In English. You all don't speak no Mandarin, so don't accept no Mandarin certification. And you all don't know these people.
We need their number, we need their name, we need their position, we need everything.
I think it was this class that I told, I don't know, but in the UAE, there has been so much fraud. The UAE says, if you accept from the teacher, the lawyer, or the banker, the certification, you accept that at your own risk. They say, go and look at the dark web. They say, everything that comes out of the UAE has to be certified by their Supreme Court. Or don't call them talking about if this fraudulent person in the UAE. Okay, and so that's how bad it is in the UAE. So if you have UAE customers, please check their laws and make sure that certification coming from the Supreme Court, and that takes 3 months. And you know the central bank only allows you 30 days to get these stuff in, and the person sitting on your lap because they working on commission, and if this account don't open, they don't get paid. In school opening, they get school fee to pay. So they need this account open today. Okay, so wherever the person is domiciled, where they are resident, is where they should pay tax. Or if they want to say they are resident in the Bahamas, there's a reasonableness test. You spend that 183 days, still liable to Switzerland or Spain. God help if it's Spain and the US, because you're liable to two. Okay, so
This bullet.
Hey.
Lanique asks if the certification is like an affidavit.
No, it's just a certified true and correct, because remember, in the offshore world, nobody walks into the bank. We have external asset managers sitting around the world, right? We have somebody sitting in Spain and Switzerland and the UK. So we don't essentially meet these customers. These external asset managers get the originals on our behalf. And so we need that certified. Okay, and so you could go to a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, a banker, a JP, and get it certified. Okay, but like I say, in the UAE, they say we have a couple Rodney Monkus around here who just certifying stuff all willy-nilly, right? So you all come to the Supreme Court or it ain't legit. Okay, that's clear, Lanique? Lanique still there?
My computer freeze, so I couldn't
Okay,
unmute
but
my
you,
mic,
you
but
get it?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good. Okay, and so this tax is, if you're getting interest, if you're getting dividends, all of that goes into place in terms of how much income you generate. So it isn't just income on your salary. Any dividend or any interest that you receive, all of that is taken into consideration. Okay. We were listed as gray. We were blacklisted first because of taxes. Then we were gray. Then we were back to blacklist because the who was it? The CFATF wanted to come in and sit with the FIU and help them in 2020. However, the pandemic prevented them from coming. And so because the EU could not confirm that we have updated our tax laws, then they blacklisted us in 2020 over this tax. Now we did update the penal code and we did put in, if you evade customs and VAT, you go to jail. So again, you know, like we use a staggered approach. I think that was intentional because had we updated that from 217, that means a lot of more persons who did not, you know, repatriate their money back home and they were trying to, you know, we were still reading, we were still on a learning curve. We were trying to figure out how to avoid, keep the money in the Bahamas, but avoid, not evade. And so the government helped us out a little bit. And so they put the law in place, but they didn't put international taxes. So of course, the CFATF and the EU came right down on us and say, update this law. You all know you all mean to put this in so nobody could go to jail. But now, I think in December of that year, 2020, they fixed it. Carl Bessel fixed it and say now all international persons too who try to evade will go to jail as well. Okay. So are there any questions?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You said if they're collecting dividends, they should have the form as well?
No, I said it's not, income includes, because the tax is on your income, right? And I was just saying that income includes not just your salary, but any dividends that you receive and any interest that you receive.
Okay, so because I work at a loan company and we have investors and we recently got one. He is he has citizenship, but he doesn't have the right to, not citizenship. He has something, but he doesn't have the right to work here. But because we don't get much of them, I don't think we did none of those forms.
Okay, well, in the system, when you are you uploading in the CRS system?
The compliance officer does that, but like I said, that would probably be the only person that's ever invested in the company.
It depends on what type of company you are. Because some of do you all have to report, or does this bank have to report? Because it depends on a lot of companies are just managing, and management companies don't have to report because essentially they managing money at the bank, and so the bank
should report.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So it depends now. I don't know what type of company you are.
It's a loan company, like they do loans, but they get investors from the public.
But do you have accounts?
No, but we pay dividends.
Yeah, but you paying dividends to that bank.
No, we pay dividends to the person. Yeah, through the bank.
You paying it to his bank account though.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the bank has to deal with something
like that. So it just depends on what type of company you are, and some companies have to report and some don't. They just expanded who has to report because that was one of the loopholes. So everybody just paid management fees. Management companies did not have to report, and so everybody just went to a management company. And so that way, it was cheaper to pay the management company rather than pay the tax the country each year.
Way cheaper.
Yeah. So management companies charge between $5,000 and $10,000
a year.
Yeah, and your country would have been charging you 30% of 10 million a year, 300 and 400,000.
200,000.
Yeah, so you pay that $10,000 in fee. In fact, in private banking too, it was cheaper because private banking fees was the same between 5,000 and 10,000 a year, rather than pay 300,000 to my country every year. So that's why we had so much success with offshore companies. And like I said, it's not Bahamas. Remember, Switzerland had a big offshore book, but now, like I told you, my colleague said we had 200 banks and trust companies, 250. Now we only had 50 because we lost all our clients because of CRS and FACA. And then with all these compliance rules and all these laws changing, a lot of people just did not qualify to be a client any longer. Regulation is expensive. We couldn't hire a compliance officer. We couldn't put in those $1 million systems to monitor these customers. So we just shut down. Okay, so this wiped out, like I say, I spoke with, who was it? Oh, one of those politicians who was sitting on our board. And I asked him, I can't remember his name. I said, listen, if banking is 20% of GDP and we've lost 17%, that means we have 3% financial services left contributing to our GDP. Is banking still, and is financial services still our second sector? And he said, yes. Okay, but we saw banks, Royal Bank been around for 108 years, and the first time in 108 years, we see branches closing down left, right, and center. Royal Bank, Scotia, NACI, IBC. Go ahead, Shauna.
Ms. Bullard, I just had a quick question in reference to in reference to avoid and evade. Is with avoiding, is it like a time frame of avoiding it? And basically with evade is I don't want to pay.
When you say a time,
I want clarity. So
what you mean a time frame?
If I know I have the light bill, right, to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And the light bill is due August 29th. And so I say, man, I ain't gonna pay that right now. I go wait a little while.
No, but see, that's a bill.
So I know that that's a bill that I have to pay. But
or you'll be disconnected.
Right.
The taxes.
But evading it is meaning I'm not gonna pay it at all.
No, correct? You can't evade it because you wouldn't have light. So you can't use the light bill. Your light will be disconnected if you are not a politician.
Okay, stay with me then. Let's use another illustration.
Okay.
Miss Bullet, I could try explain my understanding of it to her so I could see if I understand it.
Yeah, go ahead, sure. Let's see if that will help you.
Shauna, you can't use no bill with tax evasions, basically, no bills. But if avoiding it would be making sure that you are reporting, like you use your FATCA forms, you use your common reporting standards forms, you make sure you report it. But evading it would be like totally
not paying
it at all, trying every way,
lying on the form,
or lying on the form. Yes, reporting it as a non-active NFE when it's really an active NFE, and you trying every way to avoid paying it. But
well, you just
not
confused
avoid,
me there.
evade.
You just confused me.
Shauna,
okay, I know Miss Bullet, I know she says not to use like a utility, right? But there was a period where the place I reside, the light bill was like low. It was like $5, $10. Every month it was low, right? Now, I know the bill wasn't supposed to be $5, $10, but I said, let me pay it and see if they will realize that there's an error. And so when I saw where 2 months went by, as opposed to not, I went in and I said, there's something wrong with my light bill. Isn't that, can that not apply to avoid
No, Shauna,
and
you're going to
evade?
jail. You're going to
Yeah.
jail. Shauna, you owe them for 2 months. You're going to jail.
No,
okay?
Jail
This
me.
is
Don't
avoiding.
jail
No, Shauna, this is avoiding. You go to Miami and there's a $500 concession. There's also duty-free items. And so what you do is you only spend $450 and then you spend $50 on duty-free items. And so when you go to customs, you said, these are my duty-free items and I only spent $450. That's avoiding. You stayed below the threshold. You cannot
Nobody
break the
does that,
law.
Miss Bullard.
You cannot break the law. Once you break the law, you are evading.
Miss Bullard.
Yes.
Question, with her example, wouldn't evading be her knowing that this light bill is wrong and or the light bill being or passed to them not paying the bill, but them still consuming light? Wouldn't
Exactly.
that
I still had light.
Yeah, so still consuming it, like not to the point where they cut off the light, but they're not paying the bill or they made some type of agreement.
But
to
a
say,
light bill is not a tax.
Tax invasion, yeah.
There's not a tax.
No, I mean,
There's
I
not a
know
tax.
it's not a tax evasion, but I just given an example of her.
No,
like,
because the consequence of her not
So it
paying
has to
is
be a tax.
connection.
Okay.
You see what I mean?
So it has to be a tax.
No, private company.
Yeah, it has to be a tax. And like NIB.
Oh.
If you the people who are not
paying their
NIB, they
that's evading.
they working, but
Miss
they
Bullet,
yeah. Go ahead, Yasmin.
Okay, so not to mention NIB, you know how some businesses like they, you have to pay NIB. But for instance, I know of a guy, he was working for 10 years to a place, and when he reached retirement age, he went to NIB and they said that they never got any any deductions for him under his name within the last 10 and a half years, which in the years that he was working to the place. Boom. So when he showed them, he had to show them proof that he was actually paying Thingham, but his pay slip was literally something that they just type up in the system, just saying that they're taking something out of his salary, that these are the deductions of his salary. They wasn't paying no insurance, no health insurance, no, well, that liability insurance.
Was it an error? Was it an error?
No, it just was.
No, it was an error. It wasn't an error.
The company was evading.
There's a
company.
Yeah.
It wasn't the client. It wasn't the worker. Yeah, it wasn't the worker. It was the
Okay.
company. They didn't just make a
So the
mistake.
company would be at fault for not claiming on him, even though he was working for the low time and he have his
because the
so-called paycheck.
The question is what they was doing with his money, what they was doing with the deductions.
But see, let me tell you, when I was at Royal Bank, the same thing happened to me. I worked there for 5 years before I had my second child. And here I am going into the doctor to have my second child, and I'm paying $160 a month for insurance, which was the individual side, and thinking that the company was paying their side. They was taking my $160 and they didn't pay. And then they tell me, don't worry about it. They go fix it with the insurance. So the insurance will just allow me to have my baby and my insurance will start now. But I said, but for 5 years, I would have paid $160 times 12 times 5. If I had no coverage, and God forbid if I had passed away, you would have done my family, I didn't have insurance, and here's the money coming out of my salary. you know, and so I had to go all the way to Canada to Ombudsman for them to go and dig this up and give me back my money.
Wow.
But it's like, well, you have coverage from today. You could have your baby and no worries. I was like, I am worried about the money I paid that me and my entire family wasn't covered. You know, so yeah, the company would be liable if they made a mistake. I don't know if they make a mistake. I don't know what they do with my money, but I sure pull up the doctor's hospital to be told that, Miss, you don't have no insurance. And you know, one night in doctor's hospital is what, $5,000, you know, so.
Ms. Bullitt, in that case too, would NIB be liable to launch a case against that guy's employer?
Yes.
For basically lying.
Yeah.
Lying and robbing him.
Yeah. And a lot of companies do it. And that's why they have this whole inspection department now. This is why you can't even get your business license renewed if you don't, NIB does not confirm. And for a certain point, I think for the first month of the year, the business licenses are free. But if it's late, then you have to pay. So everybody go in within that time frame, and that's where they finding out that people didn't pay national insurance. But
Fusion do that too. You remember, I think that was beginning of the pandemic.
Yeah, I remember that.
They found out that they wasn't paying NIB.
Yeah, but a lot of companies, now, I know very
pay.
big companies only pay once a year. And what I'm thinking is this is how they give staff a bonus. They keep all that money and they gain interest off of it. And then they pay national insurance. Because imagine you have 500 employees, all their national insurance, 3.9% of their salary, 5.9. You put all of that in a fixed deposit, and you keep that. You make good interest to give your staff a bonus at the end of the year. Then you pay the national insurance. So I only know, and that's very administrative as well. I only know of large companies paying twice a year, once a year. So that outcry and outrage that, oh, they have our money and they keeping it, that's normal.
I think a lot of business owners were questioning if NIB goes up again, are they able to put that money aside into a bank account or a fund that they could grow interest? I hear some thing.
Yeah, some people was questioning, but what I know of that was a common practice of many companies.
Right.
If you give, that's a good idea. If you give your staff a bonus now, if you aren't giving your staff a bonus, what you doing then?
Most of them ain't give that bonus. They're saying
so then you
all of this money and only get back so much. I
right.
can buy
So
that way
that's
more.
corruption. Yeah, that's
or even
that's
put it
corruption.
in like a pension fund.
Yeah.
And tell the employees that this their pension.
Right. Something. If you do something like that, that benefits the employees, then it's fine. But if you take in the money for the company, oh, that's corruption and that's evasion.
No, they'll figure a way around that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to give my disclaimer that I paid my light bill.
Okay, Shauna. So you were not on bail, Shauna. No
one here for BPL.
All right, Shauna, you did the right thing.
Yes,
okay. But the next thing the book talks about is qualified intermediary, and again, that's for, you know, if you have a trading arm where people trade in the, you know, U.S. stock exchange or the U.S. market, and each bank is a qualified intermediary, which means that they collect 40% the same, is it here? Is it the wealth tax? No. Withholding tax, yeah, it's applied to certain types of income such as interest, dividend, salary. Okay, that withholding tax, who knows, is it 30 or 40%?
40, I believe.
40%. So every time you invest into the stock market, the US government gets, if you're in the US market, the US government gets 40%. If you're in the European market or the Asian market, each of those governments, they get money. And that's why, you know, cryptocurrency, they're trying to regulate it. So because they want money off the cryptocurrency as well. But each exchange, each stock, each share, anything that you invest in or trade in, the government gets 40%. And so the banks are qualified intermediaries, which means they collect this 40% withholding tax on behalf of the US government. And every year in April, they then pay the 40% to the IRS. And so that's where the checks and balances come. And that's where the forms are verified, because depending on what type of company you are, there are concessions. If you're a senior citizen, you can pay 15% versus 40%. If you're a nonprofit, you probably pay 5%. So it's very complex, and you have to have your clients categorized properly so you know which tax they pay. Then there are tax treaties between countries. So Switzerland may have a treaty with the US or with Germany, and so those clients then pay treaty tax, which is a decreased amount. And so customers, like I say, who trade, they are very savvy. Of course, like they don't want $1, they don't want 1 cent to go to the government. And so they are on you to make sure that you are reflecting their payments properly. So again, it's most is by the CRS and FACA. Yes, Carrie?
I'm wondering, and you were talking about all of these taxes, and some of these are going to be with respect to income tax being introduced in the Bahamas. And I heard someone mention earlier that they're only looking to increase the weekly wages by $10. I just came out of a meeting where the credit bureau is starting September 1st. All these things are happening in this country, and they're not looking at increasing the minimum wage. How is it going? The low class and middle class citizens of this country won't be going home with anything in their pocket at the end of the month.
It's going to wipe out, that's what we were saying earlier, Carrie, it's going to wipe out the middle class. You're going to be poor or rich, and that's how Brazil is right now. In Puerto Rico, I believe, very rich and very poor. There's no middle class.
More than one income, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, so this is why, like I say, we need some educated people who don't thief in position, because when they come up with something, they thief so much that the people just, you don't feel it. And how else does countries make money? Only from taxes and natural resources. Okay, we see what happening with our natural resources. Okay, we see, I think we talked about immigration. Were you in the class where we talked about immigration? Like, we don't have a problem paying VAT if we could drive on the road, if our children could go to school safely, if we don't have to sit 10 hours in Princess Margaret, and we could actually get good care. We don't have a problem. That's the only way the country could make money. We could look at Canada. Canada is calling for citizens. We can't protect our borders. Each country needs more citizens to help them pay the tax.
Yeah.
But what do? We have too many undocumented citizens. It's the only place in the world you could build a shanty town and not pay rent and get electricity and water and live and not be registered and get your children in school, only in the Bahamas.
That is so true.
Okay, and so if they do away with the shanty towns, and if you come here, keep the moratorium on the money services businesses, you ought to see those lines on a Friday. That money going out the country, left, right, and center.
Like
and so
Western Union.
In Canada, they welcome you.
Yeah.
They welcome you because their taxes are between 15 to 30%. And you won't living in no shanty down there. So the government getting that money, plus you have to live and you have to eat. And so therefore the government gets 50 to 70% of your income. In the Bahamas, sometimes without VAT, the government wasn't even getting 10%. And so that's what we need to do, fix our tax problem, because the Defense Force votes don't make no sense. Right? So fix the tax problem, knock down the shanty towns and collect tax from everybody, and then we'll see a difference.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so we need some of y'all to do, we need to stop talking. We need some of y'all to get out and get on these boards. Make them effective. Stop being around for 30 years. Stop reduce price control and rent control, and let us see a report card. Foolishness.
Soon.
Soon, yeah.
Yes, no, I dead serious. I dead serious. We know these boards been ineffective for years. Get your 5 friends and join and maintain your ethics, please.
Please. But Miss Bullet, I mean, shanty towns are a thing, but that's only because they're visible. If you look at the Chinese, they live on the top of all of their businesses, literally. And they have, you know how if you have a certain amount of rooms or circumference or whatever, the square footage, you have to have a certain amount of people living in there. They have been 5 to 10 times as much people living in that space.
And who do you
And they
blame?
making money because they're on rotation.
No, but I blame who's supposed to check, who's the checkers to make sure that what it is. I don't know who checks that.
They in the thingum, they in their pocket. The Chinese in their pocket. They
Okay,
need
so
gifts.
this is what
Just
this
like
is
the
what I'm
stadium. I think the
saying.
stadium was just a
We
test
need
thing
some
because they
ethical-
trying to test new material to see if
Listen, right now, the Asman is more them than us, unethical persons in these positions.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
we need
Thank
to
you very
rise
much.
up. We need to rise up a person with ethics. This the only way we can survive. I know it's more them than us now. And really, the government salaries are so low that people feel like they have to thief. The police salary are so
But
low.
the government
they have to
salary
take-
being low because they get these kickbacks left, right, and center. And
that's
then
what's
the
so
man
unfair.
talking about
That's why you can pick up your children
government people
from
thing
school and go to wash out in the government car.
Yeah, but that's only a
Yeah.
certain.
Yes.
Thank you, because the government car ain't even supposed to be out on the road
on the weekend.
After 5 p.m.
after
5 or 6.
and they
Something
be
like
right
that.
there for cocktails and drinks.
Now you know.
You go to Island Lock right now, 3 government car park up.
Hello.
But the thing about it is we these things need to fix. These are the things that drain the economy. Okay?
But Miss Bullet, what about that gentleman? He spoke up against the government. This was a couple of years ago, and he had people basically running him off the road. Come to his house in the middle of the night, banging on his windows and stuff like. Well, who's that man? He was talking, he was making sense too. He told us about the Norwegians in Freeport. He told us about the Russians in Alutra. And like he was just calling out our government, calling out all of.
Okay, I'm not familiar. I only know these people who try to be the government, the COI people, what they name? Lincoln Bain, you mean? Not Lincoln Bain.
Coalition. No, it was another guy. It was another guy.
It's another guy?
I think it was Bannister, eh? No?
I don't know. It was another guy. I think in Freeport because he used to record a lot.
Omar? It ain't Omar?
No, it ain't
Yes,
Omar.
he used to record a lot.
He used to record everything and show the Bahamian people what nobody knows.
Oh,
And he
I know
would
you
tell
mean the white
everybody.
man.
Yeah, he
You mean
passed
the
away.
white man?
He passed away.
I saying the same thing. It's a black guy.
Yeah, he
It's a
passed
black
away
guy.
last year.
That's a Kai guy.
I think it's Bannister.
Yeah, that's his.
Kai?
Bannister.
His wife had to
listen,
job.
Bannister?
Yeah, because he died. He's dead.
Yeah, but we need to be more organized with it.
No,
okay?
man, that sound like just like Bannister.
Yeah, we need to be organized with it. What we need is lobbyists, and lobbyists is who holds the the feet to the fire. Whatever you see on the campaign trail, they record and they remind. We don't need CEO at Lincoln who rowing for a couple of minutes and then talking about he could be the government. Okay, he was a good candidate, and he still is a good candidate to start the lobbyist group. Some lobbyists are just activists, some are paid. It's very organized in America, and that's the only way. And remember, we can only mitigate. We cannot eliminate. But right now, we don't even have a good mitigation strategy in place to control these governments. Okay, all we doing is talking, sending the repeat offenders back into the government 3 and 4 times. Some people have to go to jail, and unfortunately, like I say, only poor people is go to jail. Okay, or it could be us, because we can't afford to steal. And Wayne is the Minister of National Security now, so he off the market completely. only poor people just go to jail. So we have to rise up and get in these positions and make a difference. And it can't be no one-man band. It's 50 of them, it need to be 50 of us.
Yeah, you gotta have a team. And put
Yeah,
it-
you have to have
That's what they do. That's what they do.
have to have a team. Every politician need 5 strong people behind him or he won't be successful.
Yeah.
Okay, and so that's how you have to think about yourself. Even if you don't want to go in that realm, at least get on some of these boards. Okay, but we can't just sit back and say, oh Lord, it's too much of them, or you know, somebody say, Miss Bullet, I look like I gotta join them because we can't beat them. No, that's why you're here, just why you educate yourself.
And they are all friends.
Yeah, the strongest network in the world.
I've seen it. And they're
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, and this is why I say get out there and get to know people. That's the only way. Or we'll be talking about this 10 years from now and ain't nothing change. Okay, so we know how to avoid and not evade, correct? Very, very easy questions to answer
Correct.
on the exam. Very easy questions. Okay, so look at the classwork. You can take the next 30 minutes, and of course, if you were in here for the first class, please try and do questions 1 and 2. I really need you to understand what those questions are asking and prove that you know how to answer those.
What page are the questions on? Ms. Fuller?
It would have come in the welcome note.
Oh, I didn't
would have
get a
been-
welcome note. They didn't give me a welcome note.
You didn't get a welcome note?
No, I didn't.
Okay, wait, don't wait. I think I just click off my Gmail.
No, I didn't.
What is it? Who will get a welcome note?
I didn't.
Almost Bullet, you want us to be able to answer questions 1 and 2?
All of those are past exam questions. Those questions can come on the exam again. So you need to know how to answer them. It may be on the exam. I'm sure the deficiencies is going to be on the exam. I'm positive about that. In fact,
Yeah.
that used to be the mandatory question.
I remember you did say that.
Yeah.
Ms. Bullock, can
Everything
you
with Ms. Bullet say, you all better listen.
Ms.
Right?
Bullock, can you email the note, please?
The welcome note, Carrie?
Yes.
Okay, let me see if I have you this, Carrie.
And don't forget to add me to the WhatsApp group, please.
Is it YESHUA, Carrie?
That's
Oh,
correct, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. So the welcome note is there. I can put it on the screen. This is your homework. There's an information sheet for homework, and there is a classwork sheet as well. Both the homework questions as well as the classwork questions are past exam questions. And we have a test bank that just spits out questions. So don't be surprised if you see these questions again. All of these could be on the exam, whether it's in an essay or a multiple choice.
So this is due when, now?
It's not due. It's just that you do it and then you come to class and you discuss it after we talk about the newspaper clippings.
Okay. So,
And ask if you do not understand, just let's talk about it so we can ensure you understand how to answer. So listen to class 1, because we looked at the CFATF report and we went through on the expectation to answer. How do you get full points?
Okay. Where do I get class 1 from if I missed it?
Miguel has the recording.
Yeah.
So each class is recorded, so you just contact Miguel. But if you look at the link that he sent, he normally puts, this is how you access the recordings, right in that link. So if he doesn't have that, his cell number, as well as his email address is in the welcome note, and you can just reach out to him.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and anybody else who did not get a book, please visit the office to get you. And you are to read first, and then come and let's have a discussion. Okay. Any other questions or concerns? Lanique, did you have sufficient time to get all the numbers out of the chat?
I getting the last ones right now. The last one right now.
Okay. Okay, are there any other questions or concerns? Okay, so
Not at this
next,
time, no.
okay, okay, good. So take a
Miss
read.
Ballard, sorry,
Yes.
what was the first event you said you wanted us to go to? I think it was a talk or something for an hour, because
Yes,
I came in late and I didn't get to read the flyer.
Okay, 1 second. Let me see if I can pull that back up. Okay, there you go. It's a lunch and learn on September the 7th. It's at 11 to 12. And it says more information, contact bahamas@gmail.com, and you can just send an email. I'm not certain if they were charging for this, they would have put a price, but normally, you know, if they are charging, your organization normally pays. You can ask them if it's a benefit or not. And like I said, also, the same time, request the application to become a student member. Okay, and there are discounted rates for memberships. But you don't have to join to be a member to go to that or to MLRO Day. This is the next one. No, that's something else. MLRO Day, yeah. That one is on October the 6th, and that one is in person. And that's where you know, go there, introduce yourself, especially if you're in the compliance department. There is a course attached, and like I said, to be good corporate citizens, your institution is by a whole table for these events, and nobody is good. Or buddy up with your compliance officer and say, I'd like to cross train. May I attend this conference with you? You'll be surprised. Like I said, they normally buy 10 spots or pay for 5 persons to go and nobody goes. You just dress up, look your best. So, you know, the Bahamian says, size you up based on how you look. Do your hair, put on your full face, your high heel shoes. Look good, put on a suit if you're a guy. And just introduce yourself. But get your name out there. Okay, and this is held annually. So once you become a compliance officer or into the compliance department, the expectation is that you attend this each year, each October. Okay, and then if you are the compliance officer, then you need to start to look at international training as well, not just local. So you should be on the International Compliance Association site, as well as what is it? I can't remember. Anything to do with compliance, International Association. What's the other group?
ACAMS.
ACAMS, yeah, the ACAMS site, they're good at lunch and learns, and they have a lot of international programs, and you know, in Miami and stuff like that. So yeah, don't just let your training be local, because on one form I had to fill out for the bank to open an account, they asked me what international training that I had for that year. Because remember, training is done annually. And so if you train in the staff, you can't just be internally, you know, thinking that's sufficient for you as the MLRO or for the compliance officer. You should be in a more advanced training. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other questions or concerns?
No, Mom.
No? Okay, guys, well, have a productive week. I hope that you reach out to your families and let them know that y'all in this class and Miss Bullet just talk a lot and she's give a lot of work, so y'all really need some help, you know, and just organize yourself. You know, when the exam date is, schedule your time off. Put in at least 2 hours per week trying to answer the classwork and reading, and then have some time to unwind and wind down and feel good. And that way you'll retain it, because you know, after listening to all this talk, and this is very comprehensive, it could make you crazy. So you have to, you know, feel good afterwards. You have to have some downtime. Okay? Okay,
Okay.
guys. So you all have a productive week, and I'll see you next
Hold
week.
on, I have
Good
one quick
night.
question.
Yes, go
Do you
ahead
get
with
a
the question.
Do you get a certificate or something for passing the first part?
Yes, you do.
So you just collect it from the office?
Yeah, but graduation is every September, and so you could speak to
Okay.
Miss Ian about if there's going to be a graduation this September, and that's where your certificate is presented. If you don't attend, then you collect it at the office.
See, Miss
Okay.
Bullet, this
Because
what
I
I'm saying.
haven't gotten my info certificate yet, and when I went, Miss Dane was on vacation, and she was supposed to call me back, but she never did.
Okay.
They don't communicate. We don't know these things.
Yeah, I'll speak to them about it. But Miss Dane should be back in office. I think she was in there today. She should be back in office. If not tomorrow, then Monday. And you could whoever answers the phone, just ask them about the graduation. And if you wanna attend, then you may need to talk to Miss Dane. Okay.
So
Okay.
Ms. Bullet,
Yes.
yeah, so if we don't attend this graduation ceremony, can we still be able to come and pick up our certificates, right?
Yeah, you just go to the office and pick it up.
Okay, okay. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Right.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, you're welcome. So everybody, you have a good evening, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good
Okay,
night.
good night.
Good night.